A racist woman stole a first-class seat from a black man, unaware he held the power to dismantle the entire operation. Penelope Thorpe, loud and dripping entitlement, shoved past Elias Vance at the gate, barking that the seat was not for people like him. Zenith Air Flight 917 was preparing for boarding, and the lounge buzzed with routine chatter, none of which touched Elias as he moved with quiet precision toward the priority line. His midnight blue suit, his calm presence, and the controlled stillness in his eyes went unnoticed by those two blinded by their own assumptions. Penelope blocked his path, insulting him with every breath, convinced he had no right to stand where he stood. Elias offered no reply, only his boarding pass, which scanned green without hesitation. Penelope, outraged, stormed after him onto the aircraft, declaring that Seat 2A was hers and that Elias must have forged his ticket. The flight attendant verified both passes patiently, explaining that Penelope belonged in 3C, but the woman refused to accept it. Her tirade grew uglier, venomous slurs spilling freely as she insisted Elias had no place in first class. When Sarah, the attendant, tried to calm her, Penelope lunged into Elias's seat the moment he stood for verification. She ordered him to remain standing, sneering that he looked more appropriate that way. Passengers pretended not to hear the cruelty. Elias held himself still, but tension rippled along his jaw. Sarah eventually returned, visibly shaken, yet she instructed Elias to move to the back, citing Penelope's platinum status and muttering something about avoiding trouble caused by a simple black man. The humiliation was sharp, deliberate. Elias took a single breath, picked up his briefcase, and stepped away without a word. Penelope mocked him as he walked, satisfied in the belief that she had triumphed. Elias reached seat 32D, sat, and calmly pulled out his phone. He dialed one number and spoke 5 quiet words. Execute protocol Delta 9. Now, the call ended instantly. Within seconds, the plane's systems began to falter. Boarding froze. Communications failed. In the cockpit, the flight management system rebooted without command. Across Zenith Air's national network, screens blinked red in rapid succession. No one understood the cause. Only Elias watched with silent certainty as his phone confirmed that Protocol Delta 9, an ultra-critical internal shutdown, was in motion. Passengers murmured anxiously as Captain Reynolds announced a delay due to technical issues. Penelope muttered that Elias had brought bad luck, still oblivious. Sarah struggled to restart her frozen tablet, which eventually displayed a message that made her knees weaken. Access blocked. Superior user executed Protocol 9. Verification, Corporate Director. The realization struck her like a blow. Only 3 people held that authority. She looked toward the main cabin and found Elias watching her, expression unreadable. It wasn't anger. It was recognition, and that terrified her more. Penelope continued complaining loudly demanding compensation, announcing she would sue the airline. The aircraft door opened again. 3 individuals entered. A man in a gray suit, a woman carrying documents, and a federal agent. They moved straight down the aisle with purpose. Elias Vance? The suited man asked. Elias stood, smoothing his sleeves with calm precision. Yes, he said, not as a passenger. I am here as the global president of international operations for Zenith Air. The cabin fell silent. Penelope's smug expression collapsed. Sarah's breath caught as the weight of what she had done settled over her. Passengers who had pretended not to witness her cruelty now stared with wide, guilty eyes. Elias stepped forward with steady composure, acknowledging the officials with a small nod. The federal agent addressed him respectfully, explaining that the shutdown was active and awaiting his next directive. Penelope strained to hear, horror spreading as she realized the man she mocked held the authority to freeze an entire airline with a single command. Sir, the operations center is requesting confirmation on whether to proceed to stage 2, the woman with the folder said. The words rippled through the air like a silent shockwave. Penelope rose trembling. I didn't know, she pleaded. This is all a misunderstanding. Elias did not turn toward her. He kept his eyes on the officials as the shutdown timer on his phone continued its steady countdown. Sarah stepped forward shakily. Mr. Vance, sir, I want to apologize. I should have, but Elias offered no response. His silence was heavier than any reprimand. The suited man waited, poised for Elias's next command. Then Elias finally spoke, his voice quiet yet absolute. Before I authorize the next phase, I need one more thing verified. Elias stood in the aisle, the cabin silent as passengers realized something unprecedented was unfolding. Sarah trembled, her voice barely audible. "Sir, what will happen to?" Elias did not answer. He simply activated his phone once more, and the screens around the aircraft flashed a clear, authoritative message. All flight operations suspended. Executive review initiated. Compliance mandatory. The intercom repeated the announcement, leaving no room for misunderstanding. Two internal airline security officers stepped onto the plane, moving deliberately toward Penelope Thorpe in seat 2A. "Miss Thorpe," one began firmly, "following a full review of cabin footage and passenger testimony, you are permanently banned from all Zenith Air flights. Collect your belongings immediately." Penelope shrieked, attempting to protest, but her voice fell flat against the authority now in the cabin. Elias turned to Sarah, who had frozen mid-step. "And you," he said quietly but sharply, "complicity has consequences. Your failure to act impartially, your prioritization of prejudice over procedure, has resulted in your suspension pending internal review." Sarah's face paled. The flight attendants watched in stunned silence as two more security officers secured the first-class area, ensuring no one interfered. The captain approached, his expression tense. Elias addressed him directly. "Captain Hughes, your crew will undergo a full operational audit. Flight 917 is canceled. Passengers will be rebooked. This is non-negotiable. This is corrective action, not punishment for you personally, but for the system that allowed discrimination to persist." The captain nodded, understanding the weight of authority in Elias's words. Passengers murmured, some apologetic, some astonished. Penelope, still shouting about her supposed victimhood, was escorted off the aircraft with a single, resolute officer maintaining control. Outside the cabin, she continued her tirade, but the staff ignored her entirely. The humiliation of her previous behavior had become public, indisputable, and now formally acknowledged by corporate enforcement. Sarah was instructed to follow a senior officer to the rear galley, where a suspended status notice awaited. Her career, once secure through years of service, now hung in jeopardy. Other crew members were gathered and briefed on the forthcoming audit, each realizing the seriousness of Elias's intervention and the irrevocable nature of the corrective action. Elias walked through the cabin once more, acknowledging the passengers who had witnessed the event. He offered no words of comfort or explanation, only a composed presence that radiated calm authority. His phone buzzed with confirmations. Internal reports were filed. Delta 9 protocols remained active, and the airline's network outside the aircraft was under full executive review. Within hours, headquarters had sent notifications to all Zenith Air employees. An immediate corporate-wide audit, reinforced ethical training, and new conduct policies under direct supervision of the global president. Penelope's ban was formalized not only in Zenith Air records, but across partner airlines. Her platinum status was revoked, and civil proceedings were initiated for public incitement of hate. Sarah faced disciplinary hearings and mandatory retraining with oversight from senior ethics officers. Regional managers who had ignored prior complaints were required to provide full reports, with some resigning preemptively. The corporate world watched as the video of the incident went viral. The moment Elias's calm authority contrasted with the previous chaos, becoming emblematic of systemic change. By the end of the week, every airline staff member received a direct communication from Elias. This was never a singular incident. It is the reflection of complacency that allows discrimination to persist. Corrective action will now be rooted in fairness and integrity. Anyone failing to uphold these standards will face consequences. This is not opinion. This is policy. Over the next month, the Fair Cabin Policy was rolled out, enforcing equal treatment, prohibiting favoritism, and mandating complete ethical training. Passengers and employees alike observed a remarkable transformation. Penelope Thorpe was permanently removed from all systems. Automated international verification barred her from boarding partner flights. Sarah, after completing retraining, resumed work under probation. The regional director who had ignored complaints resigned publicly. Elias continued traveling, now recognized by passengers and staff alike. His authority was quiet but absolute, and the airline's culture shifted to one rooted in fairness. 6 months later, Zenith Air's policies became the global benchmark. Elias never sought publicity, and yet his influence extended beyond the company's walls. The lesson was clear. Prejudice and complicity carry consequences, and integrity, exercised decisively, reshaped systems, careers, and expectations. All who had been complicit had been held accountable. The airline had changed forever, and Elias, calm as ever, remained the steward of justice executed not with anger, but with deliberate and unwavering authority.